something that we saw to Golden Guardians that we really didn't get to see much of last split. The fact that a Blaze Olive had so many clutch moments, Dixie was playing quite well, is a positive sign for them. But despite that win against Cloud9, they're almost down 10K. They cannot afford to put themselves in that position if they want to be actually improving beyond their record from spring. And they also struggled in the early games against IMT. So today, I need to see this squad actually contest with TSM in the early game.
Yeah, we're going to have to make it look good because TSM is certainly a tough opponent right now, but Golden Guardians should have the chops to at least, you know, put up a fight. And that's the minimum, I think, if you're a Golden Guardians fan. The other thing for me that I think we'll be tracking throughout the season is, you know, what kind of team is Golden Guardians, right? What kind of style do they want to play? I think right now, every team is going through some sort of identity crisis about, like, what champions do we play? What's our style as a team? How do we put all these pieces together? Obviously, that's harder if you're a team that has made changes, where TSM, of course, has not. But we'll see how things shake out the draft here. Glenn, of course, banned on the TSM side alongside Varus and Lee Sin, and Senna, Renekton, and Thresh as Udyr is going to be the first pick for TSM.
So much of the current meta involves these carry junglers that depend on the team to play around you or have setup. The Rumble, the Kindreds, the Zinzaos, there's so much composition built around these to make them work. Whereas you can just play Udyr and you don't need your team to play around you at all. You are always relevant. You're good to play as a team. And the Rumble on the side of Golden Guardians with the Kai'Sa, it's just telling me you want a Nautilus so bad. It works so well with this already. TSM has to be thinking about drafting in accordance to it. They could deny it, but leaving it up would strengthen Golden Guardians' composition.
Yeah, I've seen Leona popping up as well, kind of when you can't get Nautilus, so we'll see what options Golden Guardians are given. I also love that Kane has become the go-to hover for Speaker. Clearly, a little bit of self-awareness there as Tristan is going to get picked up. I don't remember if Power of Evil has played this champion yet. Of course, it is a flex we've seen quite a lot. Jizuke, most notably, has been playing it a ton for EG, but Lost has played it, I believe, all 3 games now if he gets it in this one, so I'm assuming it's his pick.
Yeah, I think it's Lost as well. He had that backdoor victory against Evil Geniuses that now seems not so rare considering how Evil Geniuses games have ended. And yeah, it's not going to be for Lost. It's just going to be a nice and easy control mage for PoE. The Orianna, usually we see him go with the Victor, but it seems to be much more matchup dependent. If he just has to blind, Orianna is the go-to queen of the mid lane.
Yeah, this is funny. Like, we actually haven't seen Orianna all weekend, believe it or not. It's a champion that always pops up a ton, but not a champion we've seen in play. I've seen a couple bans, but not all that too many. This is actually one of the metas where control mages feel surprisingly not that good relative to the other picks you can play in the mid lane, which is pretty varied. But PoE is the kind of player that will always have these kind of picks, and certainly if you have mastery of these champions, and Power of Evil certainly does, this is a very viable pick. So kind of fun to see this, especially if it is going to be up against something like the Nocturne that could be either solo laner's pick here.
The Nocturne with the Rumble is really deadly as well, where you can drop the Equalizer on top of wherever Nocturne is landing. So there's a lot of dive here. It's going to make PoE's job pretty difficult to stay alive, but if anybody can do it, it's going to be him. He is better at the control mages than he is at other picks. Like Hai mentioned, he's improving at those other ones, but it has never been the case for PoE that he can't actually play the bruisers. He just chooses to go for control mages because he has so much more proficiency at them. But every time he's busted out some sort of bruiser in the mid lane, whether it was the Aurelia last year or this year in the Viego, it's always pretty good. It's not outstanding, but it definitely is passable.
He's building in strength. I think PoE cops a lot of flack for his champion pool, where actually I think now the opposite is true. He's actually very diverse as a player, even though he is still so good on these control mages that people want to call him specialized. Phase 2 though of the bans is actually almost done. Leona banned by Golden Guardian, Set banned by TSM. Definitely thinking about the supports here in general. Both supports going to be fighting for some sort of engage. Rel comes to mind for both Sword Art and Chime, because it's good with Nocturne on the Golden Guardian side, and because Sword Art has already been reasonably comfortable on that champion as well. Actually, a great opening game against Team Liquid on that pick.
Sword Art feels like the player that just wants to go in all the time. You are asking for Golden Guardians to pick the Nautilus here, though. It looks so good. You've banned Leona, you've banned Rel. Alistar would be the next remaining hard CC tank support, I think TSM will have to resort to a Braum and just play with a very kite-oriented composition. Thresh as a way to bail you out of this hard engage is really not enough. The Lantern won't bail you out of the Nautilus ultimate if there's a Rumble and a Nocturne following that up. So I think that TSM has to have a plan about kiting against what Golden Guardians has thus far, and that would make sense with the Orianna they've already drafted.
Let's just pick a range support. Okay, Braum instead. TSM are going to take...
If it was Karma, I'm out. I'm out.
Morgana spot, maybe. Haven't seen her in a while since the dip in her jungle power. But it is going to be Braum. Definitely a champion that's picking up some steam. Seems perfectly good here. And of course, in the hands of someone like Sorda, can always be deadly. Last pick is Viego once again, but this time in a different lane. Huni's been kind of on one recently, to be honest. And I'll be happy to see him take something as aggressive as Viego, which he will.
That's going to be a fun one because everybody in Golden Guardians wants to dive into you. So Viego with the Braum and Orianna to keep you alive, speed you up, make you a little bit tankier, could be exactly what they need to not only disengage from what Golden Guardians has, but also offer some good counter engage. I wonder if we get to see a cool combo with the Viego ultimate and then Orianna shockwave on top of it. That could be an exciting thing. First time in the LCS. Heck, first time in the world. No one's really played Viego yet.
All right, well, there's Lucian. That's going to be a Blaze Olive pick in the mid lane almost assuredly. I've seen this actually quite a lot. This is a matchup that is rapidly becoming standard in League of Legends, which is kind of a fun one. But, you know, as expected, Lucian tends to get ahead early and is able to bully a little bit, and Orianna just holds on and is good in the mid game. So definitely a skill matchup, but one that they should both know very well.
There's so much pressure on a Blaze Olive to go for this pick. When he was playing the Tristana last split, he was criticized for not being aggressive enough, and the last thing I want to see is him take that motto and like, oh, I need to be more aggressive with the Lucian here, because we've already seen this weekend what happens with the Lucian. Gets a little bit too happy, dashing in. You don't want to be doing that when you can just be following up with a culling here on the backline. You just need to be winning the laning phase against Orianna, and for that, we just look to his Piercing Light. How good are you at aiming that against PoE?
Have to see, but Blazov definitely a player that feels like just lacking maybe a bit of experience on the stage, a bit of confidence, right? You know, he did have a Triss game where he went off, and that was one of the games he carried. His Zoe game, it feels very familiar, right, from the to open up the weekend. So Lucian definitely a champion you must play confidently on. Huni can tell you all about that. But certainly something where he can open up the game for his team, which Golden Guardians, they just want a lane to play through. I think topside looks really good here, but TSM's topside's been looking pretty nice recently.
It has been. The synergy with Spica in particular has been on point. Around the minion wave, Spica has been very good in helping out Huni, and it allows Huni to go for solo kills afterwards. You set up your solo laner so well, especially on a pick like Viego, you're going to have a grand old time once your jungler accounts for every little instance where you needed some help. We're just going to load up to Summoner's Rift in a standard 5-point defense for what seems both teams.
Yeah, I don't think TSM are looking to take too many risks this game, and I think that's somewhat represented in their comp. I think PoE is just happy to end the weekend on a comfort pick here. Speaker obviously on Udyr, something he's played a ton, and Lost and Sorta basically repeating a variation on a lane they've played all throughout this weekend as well. Again, the one thing, if you want to keep your win total up, and even though, again, it is a very long summer, in fact, a long season, given that records are carrying over from spring, now is not the time to drop your 3-0 weekend. Especially
against Golden Guardians. Nothing against Golden Guardians. They took down Cloud9. But when you look at the standings, you know that this is a team you absolutely must defeat. And it's the opportunity to break away from the pack. TL, Cloud9, even 100 Thieves have been having some hiccups starting up the season with all their roster changes. TSM, just getting those few early wins can solidify their momentum. And before you know it, you're halfway through the split and you have a 3-game gap between you that puts so much more pressure on the other playoff teams.
Yeah, TSM definitely have an opportunity to, very early on in the season, create some distance, whereas Golden Guardians kind of just like brawl anyone at this point, right? Because all the wins they get, they're good, right? They're trying to collect as many points as possible. So I have to be careful against a team that could get a little aggressive, let's put it that way, as it's going to be early red start here for Iconic with a touch of help from Solo.
That's what I liked about some of our players in the interview you did earlier with Jose Diodo. A win's a win, right? Exactly. We got the win we needed on the scoreline. That's the same case for Golden Guardians. You need it. This long split, you don't know how the bottom teams are going to be struggling. It's 8 teams making it to playoffs, so if they can just start getting any as early as they can, it'll actually end up counting towards the end, and who knows, that 8th place can get you those top lane matchups, those best of 3s that could just be enough to go and advance a little bit later if you get that late game season buff.
Yeah, it comes up quick, but again, a very long season. So we'll just follow the early game for this one instead. It is kind of a brawl in bottom lane as Chime and Sword Art have already traded a bit of health back and forth. Looks like a potion apiece has been consumed. Lost is in there, and Chime's out of there. Stixay now in trouble. Braum almost able to apply the passive. Ignite was down, but Stixay with the fast fingers does burn both summoners to stay alive.
This is going to be such an annoying lane for Golden Guardians because not only can Swordart and Lost just hop aggressively, but also are really difficult to gank as their abilities can be used defensively. So they have a really strong way of getting your summoners and being difficult to being ganked by Iconic. Despite him pathing down, they have a ward in the river, so they'll be aware if Iconic wants to redeem this bot lane.
Just thinking about a little bit of character model creep there in the top lane. Look, Viego's weapon looks bigger than Nocturne's whole model. As Huni taking one of the newest champions to the league into battle. Seems to be pretty good against these melee champions, but it's nice to see TSM also flexing this pick right here. We kind of hinted when I interviewed him that this is something they could do, and unsurprisingly, both solo laners are able to play it here.
Huni's the kind of player that strikes me as he just wants to play whatever he thinks is the strongest. Oftentimes that may be a new champion, but he doesn't actually care if you think it's meta or not. He is getting ganked.
Oh, Speaker's in here. Solo actually getting a lot of damage done. Huni going to be forced to flash away. The last Q not there out of Solo, and Speaker looking for the maximum punish. No flash necessary as that is first blood to Udyr.
And the wave is pushing back against Solo. This one's really gonna hurt. Speaker can chill in the brush, grab the Scuttle Crab. If Solo TP's back up here, he's gonna be in some big trouble. It's a great timing out of Speaker. He just made it back. We might just see a repeat in the top lane.
Whereas Speaker follow that model carefully on the mini-map. Oh, here he comes once again. The lane he's pushing in. Speaker actually already in the brush, taking that crab, and Solo, he's going to face Jack, but a very disciplined control ward plays.
Yeah, Solo got to make it up there. Huni was distracted by that very large minion wave, so he will be fine. And now Iconic has to help out in Shadow top lane just in case. He'll be grabbing his double camp, but at least will linger around the area so that Solo won't get repeat ganked.
Yeah, again, Solo just trying to get this wave pushed in safely, so the jungler correctly shadowing him here. But Huni going to get tanked with Dazzle. Watch this one again. It looked close for Huni here, but knew he had backup.
He has such a large minion wave, so the trade is really one-sided. That Q might have actually been a kill for Solo, which would have really been a fantastic trade for him. Would have gotten first blood had that hit, but still fine in CS department. It's just a matter of can he stay alive here, because he kept his flash, but as a melee champion against melee, you're always going to be in dangerous territory trading.
Yeah, we'll check into the mid lane real quick. It's nice and even in CS. Power of Evil running a little low on mana, but same story there for Lucian, who is actually going to drink the final charge of his Corrupting Pot in bottom side. It's looking all good for Lost and Swordart though, even though the CS is even, which is what you want in this kind of lane. It does seem like that push pressure is currently there for TSM.
TSM is very happy, and now that frees up Swordart. Chime gets to go back into the brush looking for an angle, but Swordart with the control ward, thinking maybe, just maybe, I could threaten somebody else. That Spica helps him in the river as well. If Chime gets aggro, they could turn onto this.
Nocturne is brutal. It's fun. We've kind of been starting to have to play the game of like, who's the best like anti-melee champion, right? But Nocturne's got some pretty good tools in any sort of scrap. So Solo certainly feeling comfy in the 1v1 right now.
He's got so much of what you want for a melee versus melee matchup. AoE, sustain, wave clear, a spell shield to block out abilities that you see coming from a mile away that suddenly buffs your own damage. So this pick, despite having gone down a kill, is still actually doing a lot as he keeps Huni shoved into the turret. I wonder if the matchup will turn at level 6, so I feel like Huni's execute will be more valuable than Solo's ultimate in the 1v1.
Yeah, especially from the top lane, not a whole lot of places Nocturne can go. We do, of course, love to see the old TP plus Nocturne ulti plays, but it doesn't have TP right now. Had to use it after getting ganked. So a few more minutes until a play can be made here. Instead, the top laners are just going to continue to brawl. Speaker, though, probably interested in a revisit here. Knows there's a ward here, I believe, but he's going to go for it anyway. Now Speaker just zooming through, taps the ward once, and oh goodness, he's gone in already, but the ulti is out of Huni, and that just might be a 1v2 kill. Solo, Gupta makes it happen, does indeed find it, and Power of Evil now here, but he runs into Iconic as Speaker, only level 5, cannot finish off Nocturne.
Ah, Solo just outplayed Huni. He went in way too early, used the ultimate to just get next to him, so Solo had so much time to just whack away at him. Has this plated steel caps to try to survive this lane anymore, but using all that time for a 1v2 that Solo turns around is a huge win for Golden Guardians, and it's exactly what they needed. The criticism from their first 2 games was that the early game was not going well, the laners were struggling, but here it is, Solo, the latest top laner for this squad, holding it down and getting advantages for Golden Guardians.
Well, Crumbs are still collecting some data, but I'm going to say based on what we've seen so far and the current itemization of the champions, Nocturne's feeling pretty good at this point in the matchup.
He's going to shove this wave relentlessly, and it's going to create so much for Golden Guardians. And the guy is just such a strong, weak side top lane. Every time he's made it to the LCS, we hold that thought, though.
Alright, he lost us in there. Sword Art's going to follow. Again, Brawn passive apply, but Stickstay eating that explosive shot. Nice Unbreakable popped up there for Sword Art to keep Lost safe from any incoming trades. And that CS lead starting to grow a little bit here in the bottom lane. It's about 2 waves up for Lost right now. Looking to maybe make that more, but topside, it's trouble once again for Huni. Iconic ready with the ultimate.
He get in fear range. Oh, he is.
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing you can do. Flash Fear's on top of you. Huni trying to get out of there. Over to the tower he goes, but the equalizer is down. It's going to be a second kill this time. It's Iconic that nabs it.
Now I'm getting flashbacks to the replay files talking about camping Huni. He's just feeding so much here. And at least TSM is making something happen on the bot side of the map, though. Spica in the right place, right time to abuse Lost's advantage. The way they all in onto Golden Guardians was because Lost had hit level 6. Same thing happened in their first all-in. They were a level up, and now by Spica being there, there's no chance that Golden Guardians can turn and help them out. They're going for the Rift Herald instead, but the fact that they're getting so much gold onto this Tristana, I think benefits TSM in the long run.
Yeah, Spica steals the blue buff as well. Sort out with some like Singed proxy level zoning there of poor Stickstay, as Iconic does indeed get the Herald. This will of course mean that TSM get this first dragon as well, and not too late either. Love to see those drakes being taken under 10 minutes. So TSM basically saying, yep, we'll split the map. Huni, you'll be fine. Try not to get too excited up there, and we'll win on the bottom side, which is currently happening for TSM.
I mean, we know Viego shines with items, but the champion can still be very useful without them. Just the ability to stay alive for a long time in the team fights means that people will underestimate his healing and probably won't buy Morellos or any grievous wounds, and he'll be able to do a lot more than his scoreline would suggest. So I think that camping Huni can be effective in just getting solo gold and less about shutting down the Viego.
All right, we'll have to be careful because TSM are trying to enter the weak side of the map for them, but Huni, I think, pretty aware of what's happening, and also quite a few people from both teams pulled up towards the center of the map, so everyone's going to reset. I think they were expecting something to happen. PoE is going to get that blue buff donated over by Spica. Always good to see junglers helping out the mid laner as BlazeOlive gets some plate gold for himself. So total gold, even, actually. It's going to be TSM just with that Drake lead there.
That's a good thing. That's a good thing for Golden Guardians. TSM has been pretty notorious for a bad early game in the summer split and spring, but a 1v1 that Solo will win.
Not a 1v1 for too much longer, though. Both Sword Art and Spica are actually in the area, but Solo smells something fishy there in the top lane. Decides not to go too much further.
He knows the supports have base. No one's in the map. His own support and jungle aren't there to back him up, so he just thinks, I'll think better of this. I don't need to go for this. I've been beating Huni non-stop in this 1v1. Why now, out of all moments, would he just try to fight me?
Like you said, Crumbs has good weak side intuition. Does old Solo, so stays alive there. Maybe looking to take a recall soon enough, but no need to get wild too quickly here. Sword Art's trying to clear out this vision chime on a bit of a roam. Over the top we go with this flex flash. Spica's like, oh no, what's happening here? Good flash though from Sword Art. Does have the ulti ready, but doesn't have to use it. Kaiser W will miss, so no follow-up there from GG.
Respect the numbers advantage. Lost is on the bot side of the map, clearing away the minion wave, so he had to flash out of that one, or else would have just been comboed up with a Rumble equalizer. BlazeOlive might have even been able to help out with a culling, so not much is lost, just get a free flash and no objectives on the map, so all that time won't really hurt them.
Yeah, do you have to keep track of when Iconic's able to use that Rift Herald? He's got less than half the timer left on it now, so do want to see at least some plates being collected, right? That's definitely the minimum for the first Rift Herald before that 14-minute mark. So I'm curious if he's going to try and give up BlazeOlive a gold, if he wants to just kind of solidify Solo's lead in the top lane. Or even try and rescue bot lane, which I think is probably not the way you want to go. Lost is going to get yet another plate, this time just 1v1 straight up against the Kaiser, but feeling very confident here on this Tristana.
Mid lane would be a great place to drop this Rift Herald, just because you can chip away at the turret for the Orianna. It's going to be difficult to crack this one once he starts getting the mana rolling. So I think that if the Golden Guardians are able to take down this turret, it'll really help them in elongating the map to allow the Nocturne, the Rumble, and the Nautilus to actually create more opportunities for a dive. So he's going to have to pop that one real soon. And just by virtue of where he's at, he's going to have to choose mid or bottom. There's no way you pop that top.
I feel like you always want the mid lane Herald. You don't always get the mid lane Herald here as Chime actually has found Sword Art. Good equalizer down. Sword Art, no flash, no hope. Blazov going to pick him off there with the ulti. Very nicely done by Golden Guardians.
It's the same scene of the crime. You caught him there one time, second time's the charm, and it even takes less people. Rift Herald now will go down in the mid lane. It won't be enough to crack the turret, as Spica and PoE quickly return to solve this one, but it gets you so much more gold. Golden Guardians is doing a good job in accelerating the pace of the game. Gold is even, but it's going into the right places.
Yeah, going to be very interesting to see maybe what a teamfight looks like in a minute 15 around this next dragon, because both the Power of Evil and a Blaze Olive have just been chilling out, right, farming up. In fact, Power of Evil already has his Mythic finished, and that is not the one I expected, Crumbs. That's a pretty good Gwen item, Riftmaker.
Okay.
But not a very common Orianna item, at least as far as I'm aware.
He's the connoisseur of new items. If there is anybody that's going to bring a new item into League of Legends for the mid lane department, it's going to be PoE. I can't wait to see the tweet explaining the mathematics behind why this item is so much stronger now, because at the very least, it does ramp up sooner. It does give you that true damage, but you would think that just any of the standard Orianna items would be preferable, but we'll see. The Riftmaker has been making rounds even into the Rumble now. Spica has been playing the Conqueror Riftmaker on this champion as well, so maybe it is just that good as a new item.
Yeah, I'm the guy waiting for Vladimir to make his return, right?
Oh.
I think it's pretty good on him. But Blaze Olive going to knock down maybe all the plates. He's going to get at least 4, has 20 seconds for the last one, but not going to happen, unfortunately. Instead, it is going to be a setup for this dragon fight here. Once again, Sword Art back-facing Chime, but this time he's got his buddies by his side. Oh, the interrupt not quite there. And Spica, not a ranged champion, but the boop is coming in. Sword Art, oh, he wants it, but he just can't get close enough. Udyr and Brock chasing a melee champion.
That was close. I thought Chime was going to have to flash, but he held it. He held strong there. He had Iconic on the backside. TSM knew because of the ward, but now the dragon fight will start. There is an equalizer available.
All right, it's going to be a smite battle here. Who's going to win it? Oh, Nocturne's shutting off the lights. What an amazing equalizer! Chime's going to move in there as well. And here comes Solo, TPing off to play. Golden Guardians absolutely destroying TSM in this fight. But the shockwave from PoE is good for 3 bodies, but not enough kills as Solo is finally able to take down Lost. He is ticking low, but Golden Guardians are going to win that one.
That might have been the best equalizer of the week, period. That was so clutch from Golden Guardians. Iconic and Chime showing why the Nautilus Rumble combination is so sick. And if it wasn't good enough to catch those 4 members, it had the teleport on top of it as well. It was perfectly layered. TSM filed alongside the bottom wall of River and just could not get out. Great channeling of the teleport right before the Nocturne ultimate would actually come through. And so it was TSM with all members, but they're all getting cooked up in the equalizer already. They couldn't do anything about that. All the team fighting power that Rumble is made out of, they felt right there.
Yep, lights are off, standing in fire. It's an MMO Red Nightmare, Crumbs. Golden Guardians give them the Oxer on as TSM maybe trying to take this Rift Herald. Going to be 1 dragon apiece now, but TSM will claim the second Herald, so it's actually splitting all these first few objectives. Is Golden Guardians there that have the lead as a result of their kill lead more than anything else, and of course the plates they've collected as a result of their play. There will be no plates for Spica to get off this Herald, but looks like TSM are going to at least try and collect that first tower gold at a minimum.
They get that Herald for free. Golden Guardians, his ultimates are on cooldown. They don't have enough members in the area anyhow, so it'll probably just lose him a turret, but not much more as a 3v3 is already here.
Goodness gracious, Rumble, man. Overheating, spitting flames on old Spica. And it's going to be TSM having to leave their potential siege at the top side of the map. Spica will have to find a different spot for that Herald. Stixay and Power of Evil currently pushing in the mid lane for their respective sides. Lost sticking around here, does get level 10, but Blaze Olive just here to meet the wave. Not going to be too far forward here.
He's going to be fine in the side lanes. I can't wait to see what Lucian does against the Orianna or even the Viego in the side. He's got a lot of kill pressure on these guys, especially in a long lane, so it'll be an opportunity for a Blaze Olive to show us where his mechanics are at. You can split the farm for sure against both these picks, but if you want to go aggressive and you have a 3-0 lead to do so, I fully expect to see it happen.
All right, well, 3 minutes till that next dragon is up. Seems to me like the teams are happy to wait between these spawns, at least for right now. Haven't really seen a big engagement just yet. I mean, at least one that's been more even. Golden Guardians just completely took over the last one with their ultimate combos. So, again, looking for the influence of Power of Evil. We know he's good for the shockwaves. Oh, goodness, where's this going? Someone is in trouble. Oh, no one's in trouble. Solo can't get vision there. Maybe looking to dive PoE with 4 people in the mid lane. Probably a good idea, but Power of Evil instead is going to have to give up the tower, which is the first tower of the game. Is still a big win for Golden Guardians.
You get the turret. I think maybe Chime wasn't quite in range to follow up with the Nautilus ultimate, because if you just went in against PoE with the flash there, he would have easily gotten out. Doesn't just want to throw his life out, because they don't actually know where the rest of TSM was at. They see now that they're shadowing loss, allowing him to take the turret, but you have a bounty on your head. There's no need to dive. You are there for the objective only, as we'll trade a 1-for-1.
Rooney also, that is quite the missed path. Wrapping through the alcove there. As Hooney still not really fancying his chances 1v1 versus Solo, who's got a 20 CS lead. Stridebreaker done, Executioner's calling up as well. Can really take the sting out of Viego's big old sword.
He's a tank Viego right now. We've seen the build go from the Blade of the Ruined King or just AD carry Mythic being taken over and then going into things like the Sterex or even the Randuin's, but he fell so far behind. He needed something to survive, so with the Bramble Vest early, it will pay off later in the Thornmail form later, as double AD carry on Golden Guardians will really feel the hurt of that, but we got a 2v2 in store. Blaze Olive, no face check!
Oh, that's not a face check. You want to see the Shockwave is going to hit 2 and a Blaze Olive a little bit too low, but Power of Evil is going to go into stasis to prevent the follow-up there from the Lucian. Very nicely done by TSM, as they're going to grab Chime out of the deal as well.
They're right there just waiting for the AD carry to come into the river, and that's a freebie. Yeah, it kind of sucks that the Udyr got the double kill, but you get big shutdowns. You now have the Orianna farming the lane for free. It's a big win for TSM. Golden Guardians could do nothing about it and will feel this pressure for the next 30 seconds, which will transfer over into the Dragon, as TSM will have priority to put down their vision and get these earlier recalls.
And TSM answering back means that the gold lead is back to even here. In fact, if they'd taken out that mid-outer tower with the Hera, which did do a good chunk of damage, but wasn't enough to actually get the finish on the structure, TSM would have been up a little bit in gold. But let's watch this one again. A Blaze Olive just straight to the shrubbery.
Yeah. I mean, it wasn't quite the face check, but when the range of Orianna is so long, the second that ball comes out, you don't have your flash, you know you're done for.
Yeah, it was the surprise Udyr that was the troublesome more than Power of Evil's Orianna. So 2 items for both mid laners, but 1 death in a Blaze Olive's column instead. But again, certainly a lot of influence for both of these players to have in any sort of bigger skirmish. In fact, we are going to get one by the looks of things. 7 seconds until the Cloud Dragon is up.
Level 2 equalizer.
What an angle! Gets Speaker there, but no follow-up. And now Chime's the one in trouble. Good blast plant usage to disengage.
Okay, takes less damage than Speaker, so I think that's a win for Golden Guardians. They're looking for the same angle, trying to repeat that team fight from earlier.
Dragon as well might just be given up here. Oh, Speaker coming in, but doesn't quite get it. Once again, the lights are out. Nocturne ulti pop there. Solo trying to cut them off at the pass, but this time Golden Guardians can't find the combination.
They're really fast on TSM, so if Golden Guardians isn't quite there with Chime, the fight just won't start.
Ooh, culling that Unbreakable did not look like it did enough, but Sword Art at least protects the rest of the teammates as Braum face tanking the full ulti there out of Lucian. TSM, though, want to keep sieging here. They do want to finish off this tower. It was 2 ultimates committed by Golden Guardians to just keep the wave there, but TSM know they can stay around and finish that off, and indeed they will.
Yeah, it's too low for Golden Guardians to try to defend, and their wave clear isn't even that good. There's no long-range abilities that they can use to hold it down, so they're okay. They recognize we're going to lose that one. They're slowly stacking up these dragons. We're going to have those Cloud Souls being the main objective of the game, which normally you wouldn't want this on your AD carries, but the extra mobility when so much of the game has turned into this dance of back and forth, like we just saw in that last fight, that extra mobility can actually be hugely influential in these next team fights.
I love Cloud Soul Crumbs. I don't care what anybody else thinks. I love using my ultimate. I love moving quickly. Cloud Soul lets me do both those things.
I love how it transforms the map more than anything else,
true.
Actually. The mobility that you get from those slick team fights where all of a sudden one gets to get that burst of speed and either just throw you off entirely for how much time you thought you had. Oh, Obliterate the same place!
Except this time it's Golden Guardians. Good flash from Power of Evil. Oh, Stixxay passively in trouble. TP's coming in hot, but it's 3v2 still for the Golden Guardians. Hooney just flashes in there! Now in a 1v4 incoming 1v5 with Solo moving in with the Nocturne ultimate. TSM actually reinforcing. Lost. He's found the shutdown. TSM turning the tables on Golden Guardian. Stixay trying to get his way out of there, but he can't do it as now Iconic is going to be locked up by Braum and co. The stuns will come through. Orianna will claim the double kill, and TSM are going to yeet towards the Baron, but Ablazer trying to keep him at bay. His speaker just won't stop running.
The Bear of Nightmares just tanking the bullets and still running at you. This is why they say bears are so scary. A gun won't help you. But TSM gets a Baron out of this. A huge blunder from Golden Guardians. It looked like PoE was going to face check, but unlike the Lucian, he throws out an ability to see what is in the brush. He knows what he did to Blaze Olive earlier, and the rest of the team collapses. That fight did not have to happen at all, but when Golden Guardians commits the Nocturne ultimate to get into this, and Solo gets baited by the full tank Viego, multiple members commit, and it's all downhill from there. They didn't need to go here. You could have just bailed out, but Viego and Solo continue to fight. The rest of the squad does not run away, and then they just get ran down. Udyr, Tristana with the Orianna speed will catch you.
I mean, they just didn't know who the rest of TSM were. And unfortunately for them, TSM are right there in the middle of the river, ready to come up top lane. So TSM not only will win that fight, they'll claim the Baron as well off the back of that. 3,000 gold ahead thereabouts, and it's about to be more on this Red Bull Baron power play, because TSM are just demolishing turrets with this Tristana.
When your main man is PoE, you can count on the rest of the team to be there to back him up, especially if he's not control mage. So they're just going to give up the inhibitor as Solo is split pushing off, but TSM will just back off and look for more if they can take. The top tier 2 is still available, but a good reset will just allow them to take a nice win and not put themselves in harm's way of potentially getting picked off again.
Yeah, plenty of time to reset here. Still about 2 minutes left on the Baron when they started those empowered recalls, so Solo is going to do what he can, but Huni is really breezing up towards the top side here, using that mist. Oh, Speak is going to cut him off as well. Solo overstayed his welcome.
Oh, no.
Oh, back he goes, trying to find a softer target. Sword Art, not a bad one to move to, but it's just going to delay the inevitable as Huni finally gets some revenge.
You know, the Nocturne ultimate's supposed to be a nightmare. You can't see, you can't feel, but this is one of those that you just wake up quite easily. You realize you're in a dream, like, oh, I don't have to be here anymore. Wake up, the day has started. Solo is not very scary anymore on this Nocturne. The early lead just has not amounted to anything, and Huni's actually providing more now. The baiting, the tankiness, the ultimate execution, the invulnerability that he has from just the soul taking in these team fights is being much more useful, and this could be the beginning of more Viegos in the league, just as a blind top laner.
I mean, still 50 seconds left on this Baron as well, Crumbs. TSM could do so much more damage. They've already taken the mid inhib. They're going to look for this top side as well. Solo back up in 2 seconds, but he doesn't have ulti. Equalizer committed to the wave to keep TSM off of the siege. But again, still time for another wave to come in. Probably 2 waves at least with the timing to try and siege out this tower. I don't know if Golden Guardians can defend this next inhibitor, but I think they might have to.
No equalizer, so TSM is even less scared of this one. They can't even clump up if they want to look for something. The Shockwave is a big threat.
Yeah, you're right. With no ulti, it's not worth defending here for Golden Guardians, so you're just going to have to give it up. They will keep their Nexus for now, but even though Solo respawns, TSM just know there's not enough cooldowns left in the tank for Golden Guardians to contest. So a very lucrative Baron play there from TSM.
Yeah, that's a fat win, especially it feels so nice when you get the Baron empowered recall after all of that. Just a few seconds before it fades away. Yeah, you'll give up this Cloud Dragon, but that won't mean anything. If TSM play this out correctly, the game will be over before the next Dragon fight. They have double inhibitors. They can just siege on in.
Oh, they're not even done. Speaker, his blast planning over. Oh, you missed the control ward. He knows it too as he throws up the emo. He would have done it, but Speaker unfortunately didn't get the correct info, but still swiftly back out on the map. The siege isn't done, Crumbs.
I think the Speaker of old would have gone for it. The Speaker of old, flash. Yeah. Unhinged would have done it. Blast cone, blind flash, but he knows if he dies there, maybe they just can't, and doesn't need to be that high. If he could have been it, though, a lot of members could actually follow him over the wall and help him out with PoE over the wall with the Shockwave or even the shields.
I think TSM will be happy with what they've got now, Crumbs. Golden Guardians gonna struggle to defend this push, to be honest. Remember, those inhibs down still for about 4 minutes each. They've got super minions in every way but this one, and this is the one TSM are directly attacking with just about everyone here. It's just Huni courting the other minions into mid lane here, but of course can join quickly either by roaming through with those cloud patches that you mentioned, or just using the teleport that he has available. So TSM going to take tower number 8 now as Golden Guardians push further and further back to their base.
And here comes the top wave from TSM Super Minions, finally entering the base. This is really going to put the pressure on Golden Guardians. Once this one gets cleared, it's going to be hitting the Nexus turrets. If TSM crash this wave, look at how they're holding it, right? Don't attack the wave. Make sure that they crash together so that Golden Guardians is forced to split up to defend at multiple fronts. Now, when Solo gets to defend, TSM gets to shove.
Look at Speaker, he's just constantly pressing E, looking threatening towards people. Solo's going to try and make it happen. Chime gets the front line of it. I mean, really, the Udyr is not that tanky. I take it back as Stixxay almost had it, but he does get away. The Shockwave finds Solo on the other side, though, as Stixxay still peppering everyone with bullets, but Sword Art will put up the door, and Golden Guardians will be forced back. You love the attempt, but unfortunately, not enough damage to kill the Udyr.
Yeah, too far behind now, and because they got chunked out so hard, TSM can continue to push out. They're going to get the triple inhibitor, and Golden Guardians just cannot re-engage here. Their ultimates are down, yet they're still looking.
Yeah, Sword Art again going to block the culling. Now Chime going to find a pick. It's Udyr once again. This time they'll find the shutdown. Huni, they're going Golden is lost. He's trying to find the resets, but TSM a little low and healthy, but Iconic is going to be killed up by Lost, who flashes away now. After the hot bash of flash, excuse me, as Sword Art is keeping their team alive. Huni, I don't know how you are still alive, but I don't think it's going to last too much longer. TSM with almost no help between them as Blaze Olive flashes in to find at least one, but how much more can they get? Power of Evil is out of mana. He's got flash. He doesn't have many teammates left either, and Lost, he's going to try and make the big play. Oh, he got shut down by the Nocturne as Power of Evil going to do a touch of Alcove Gaming, but he did get a kill there with the explosive shot. The Shockwave is very nice, but Stixxay will stay alive as the Nexus just barely is holding on.
It was so close. It actually looked like Golden Guardians could have turned that around. It still costs so darn much, though. The double teleports are going to be available from TSM, so if you leave the base now, you could just get backdoored, and we could end up with 2 backdoor wins from TSM in a single week. A valiant attempt from Golden Guardians nonetheless.
Inhib in mid back up. Top one will be up in a little bit after that. Deathcap now finished for Power of Evil, by the way. I think he had it for that last fight, but if he didn't, it's going to hurt even more once the next play rolls around. And TSM, all right, stayed a little long. Maybe this is not what they wanted, but not too unhappy.
Yeah, the tanks just keep getting hooked, and there's a lot of damage on the side of Golden Guardians, right? You've got that double marksman. The Kraken Slayer really does a lot of work to mow them down if they can just auto for free. Great job from Sorta, just defending everyone, but with a Blaze Olive having the inside track on the curve on the map, he was going to be able to continue to chase them down.
Yeah, there's some true support play there for Sword Art, as how did Lost get this kill? That's what I'm curious about.
The Buster shot with the explosive just did so much. It didn't look like it actually was going to prop. 1, 2, yeah, just 2 autos, and that's enough. It's already at the red.
Blaze Olive does fall at the end there. Oh goodness, hello! Speaker's found another target. Good equalizer. Now Speaker's going to have to run back through it, but TSM just leaving. They don't really mind.
Speaker walked through the equalizer like he's just running through hot coals, and it's nothing. He's done that over years in meditation.
Alrighty, so Golden Guardians trying to stop this Baron attempt, but Solo getting a little peeker on the left side. This is going to be a tough one for them to face. Again, Super Minions are still potentially causing problems. Blaze Olive actually has to deal with minions in the bottom side of the map right now as TSM are committing to this Baron tech, but I think they're trying to bait Golden Guardians in here, not looking for a steal here for Iconic as Huni's TP'd up. They've maybe caught Solo, but now up to the top side, Solo, who's that feed going to get caught? Power of Evil is able to find him there as he does take him out. Now, 5v4 around the Baron pit. Golden Guardians, what can you get done here?
Clutch TP out of Huni, but now they have to 4v5 and win. There's no choice.
Time again, he's finally engaged. Sorta is going to go Golden, but now Huni going to keep dancing around, looking for them resets. Does find one. The minions as well as now Iconic. He's going to fall to Lost, and Lost is jumping in, having a good old time, as that is surely going to be the Bud Light ace for TSM as they will waltz down mid lane and take their 3rd victory on the weekend.
They knew what they had to do. Prioritize the win. You're already so far ahead, and TSM will be our first team to end 3-0 out of the playoff squads. They look by far the best. Yeah, these games are not the optimal playoff TSM, but the record stands. They go 3-0 in week 1 of the LCS.
Well, said it, Crumbs. The power of friendship is broken. And TSM looking like real good friends right now. Everyone just on the same page.
It's true. It's true. When you can trust your teammates, you play better. That's what the power of friendship really stands for. You're having fun and you're trusting who you're playing with. You're gonna have a better time playing League of Legends.
I feel like if you just replace the word friendship with teamwork, Then all of a sudden everyone's like, oh yeah, that makes sense.
Right.
League of Legends, as always, is a team game. There are always moments for individuals to shine. Certainly saw that on both sides here in a very fun game, but TSM, not just that everyone individually is playing well, but the team is very clear about how they want to play the game.
Yes, and that's one thing that they have over a lot of the competition right now. They have stuck to a style that was reminiscent of Spring, similar champion pools, plenty of engage, a lot of agency for multiple members, and that allows them to make their own calls. You have a lot of veterans here, so the last thing you want to put these veterans on is champions that don't allow them to make the plays they see. This time around, Huni sees the topside play. Yeah, he's down on the Viego, but he knows that if you can catch out solo, you got a 4v5, the chances of winning are elevated immensely.
And on the Golden Guardian side, honestly, can be relatively happy with how that game went. Early game was looking pretty good. They had a decent lead. I liked their comp. I liked how they were kind of reacting early on. It did feel like they could have snowballed that game. Really, that game just feels like that fight in the brush, right? Not having vision on TSM, basically taking the gamble that they're not close enough to follow us when we start this fight. And unfortunately, that gets very wrong.
Yeah, it was exactly that moment. But they did a lot in the early game, which was what we criticized in their first two games. You kept up with TSM, and it was proactive. The way you did it was actually on your own merit, especially that bot lane fight around Dragon. That equalizer with the Nautilus was really nice. Give us a few more of that, and this Golden Guardian squad could start climbing up, clawing their way up the standings.
Yeah, but for TSM, it just feels like business as usual, right? I said it was a comfort draft. It certainly looked very comfortable there in that game. Also nice to see Lost and Sword Art kind of flexing a little bit more in the 2v2. They haven't had the best of time in lane. They've been very good outside of lane, but it is nice to see them, pushing their advantages and opening up the map for their team.
Yes. And you're getting 3 games up to Tristana as well, which is a pick that seems like other teams aren't prioritizing that much in the bot lane. The ability to just free up Sword Art and then allow Lost to get so much on the turret plates in the bot lane is something that I think is overlooked. You're getting a lot of value when just a Rift Herald play happens and suddenly you're just explosive shotting turrets and getting more than enough value for the opportunity cost of the Herald.
Now, the other question I guess we can kind of answer is, can TSM flex Viego? The answer is yes. Yeah. But Huni, definitely not an exemplary game for him on that champion.
Good late game. Good late game on the Viego, right? Decent baits. Good bait. So that's one thing. I mean, replay files again, right? He just randomly does something, ends up in a win. People don't know how, but he wins in the end.
Huni, I believe in that clip, says that was not by my calculation.
Right.
So I wonder if this game was a little bit more by his calculations. We're heading over to Huni and LaTigracell, speaking of, on stage for our Verizon post-game interview. So let's see what the top laner had to say.
Thank you so much, Pastry Time. I am joined by the wonderful TSM Huni following that victory and a 3-0 week at that. I just got to ask you, generally speaking, how's it feel to kick off summer with a 3-0?
Well, I mean, honestly, for me, it's just like, being succeed in regular season is kind of normal. So, like, feel whatever. Just being Huni.
Just Huni things here on the Rift, apparently. But I do want to ask you, because this is obviously a very strong start for TSM, how do you feel about your start to summer with the squad now that you have had more time with them compared to spring when everything was just getting started?
Yeah, absolutely. That's a really good point that, like, as a spring, like, there's a lot of game that we kind of shows off, like, our weaknesses that was not, like, really solid the game, that even though there was so many games that we were ahead, like, we couldn't really close the game, like, those kind of things weren't a lot of happening in the spring's play, but I think summer's play is going to be, like, happen way less, that even already the practice is going really well, and, like, we could even only see, like, our improvement, like, by ourselves. So, like, it's like way easier to work because it's, like, spring was really new, but summer's, like, obviously, like, we're, part of the friends here.
It's been a really lit time for all the TSM fans out here, finding TSM in the first place position for the first time since 2018. This wasn't a game that came easy, though. I think that GG had a very impressive start, focusing a lot in the top lane. How were you handling that?
Yeah, I mean, definitely that was a pretty rough. Like, I think also I played kind of not best at the moment, that definitely I could have played better. So that's probably one thing that didn't really play well as individually, so I'm kind of like not happy with about like today how I perform actually, but the rest of the game was kind of fine, like trying to catch up, like I make a mistake all the game, but like just trying to like recover as like not making mistake like late game, like those kind of thing where a lot happened. Also, I think like mid wasn't really doing well, like bot was doing well, like jungle got the first blood, so as long as I was not like running it down, I think the game like was kind of easy, so I think that was a pretty good game for us.
This feeling that you feel like you weren't playing that well seems to be something shared by a lot that are piloting these newer picks, though. You were on the Viego. We hear that sentiment from people bringing out the Gwen. We saw PoE on the Viego as well. How much are you and the rest of the team prioritizing picking up these new picks, especially from a flexible perspective?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. That's the I think one good point that we show off the Viego, that like we can easily flex like, you know, top and mid, even jungle. I think those kind of facts like that matter a lot for the draft too. Like I think the future of the game, like week 2 or like, you know, looking for every single game is gonna be matter for enemy teams. So I think that's a really huge advantage for us, I would say.
Being that he is somebody that we are still learning about here, and we had seen him previously in the mid lane position, is there any insight that you can give us on how Viego operates in the top lane, specifically into that Nocturne matchup?
Yeah, I mean, as what you guys see, I think like as an item build, it was kind of like, you know, kind of new. Like I was more like bruiser. Like since we have a lot of carries, that like I'm just, you know, picking some soul like in the team fight, or more like front back, and then that's why I thought it was gonna be really good, but it should have been better, honestly. But it was pretty good still, I would say.
In the end, it came together for TSM, for you and the rest of the squad, being that you have had such a strong start, but there's still some uncertainty around how the teams are performing, getting their footing. How are you generally approaching the coming weeks, as all of the other rosters that just got kind of thrown together are going to get more comfortable?
Yeah, I think it's the same thing as like going back, like I think we had a like really rough start, even spring split, which is like, you know, was like really unstable, like was not like consistent. I think those kind of the things gotta be like better for us like by the time goes more, which is like playing on the stage is also new, and like we just started to practice too, like it's not even been month, so those kind of things are gonna be like, you know, come to us that by the time goes more, and we're gonna be better because we're gonna get used to each other more.
TSM gets to be the squad this time, coming through with that roster consistently and working through it all. Huni, thank you so much for stopping by after your W.
Big W.
Yeah, big W for TSM here on the stage. We do have one more match for the day, though, going down between CLG and Immortals. You don't want to miss it? See you there.